Hey, 49ers faithful. Welcome back to the channel with everything you need to know about our San Francisco 49ers. It's time to break down the latest updates from Santa Clara, the most recent free agent buzz, and the names that could still make a huge impact on this team's push for another deep postseason run. Now, we all know the Niners have one of the best rosters in the league, but even championship-caliber teams need reinforcements when injuries pile up or performance dips. So let's dive straight into the players who are still on the market and could help the Niners strengthen key positions down the stretch. Starting off with the defensive line, one of the most intriguing names floating around is Christian Wilkins. This guy was a monster with the Miami Dolphins, consistently wrecking offensive lines from the interior. Then he signed that big contract with the Raiders, but it all fell apart fast. He played only a handful of games before a foot injury derailed his season, and that same issue has kept him out ever since. Reports suggest he's been in a walking boot and might have needed surgery on that foot, though there's been some back and forth about whether he actually went through with it. On top of that, there's been chatter about him being a bit of a distraction in the locker room, which might explain why teams haven't rushed to sign him. But make no mistake, when Wilkins is healthy, he's one of the top interior linemen in the league. In 2023, he recorded 9 sacks, showing just how dominant he can be when everything is clicking. Still, with that kind of injury history and uncertainty, the Niners may be wise to steer clear for now. Moving to the secondary, another name that stands out is Justin Simmons. A multi-time All-Pro and one of the smartest safeties in the game, Simmons might be exactly what this defense needs to stabilize the back end. His stint with Atlanta last season didn't go as planned, but that Falcons defense was a mess across the board. They struggled to pressure the quarterback and gave up a ton of touchdowns through the air, which put Simmons and the rest of that secondary in impossible positions. Even then, Simmons' resume speaks for itself. For All-Pro selections and a reputation as a leader both on and off the field. At 31 years old, he still has plenty of good football left in him. And with the Niners' safeties struggling to find consistency this season, a veteran like Simmons could bring much-needed reliability. Now, how about a name that might actually be in play very soon? Asante Samuel Jr. This one is interesting because he's young, talented, and now fully cleared to return from a serious spinal fusion surgery he had back in April. He's set to visit several teams, including the 49ers early next week. If that visit goes well, the Niners could find themselves adding a high-upside corner who's proven to be a ball hawk when healthy. Before the injury, he was posting double-digit pass breakups every single season and showed instincts well beyond his years. Add to that the fact that his father was an elite corner in his own right, and you can see where the football IQ comes from. Right now, Diameter Lanier has been playing solid football, and Upton Stout looks like he's developing nicely, but you can never have too many playmakers in the secondary. Samuel Jr. would fit right in with that aggressive, turnover-hungry defensive mindset the Niners love. Then there's a familiar name for football fans, Stephon Gilmore. The former Defensive Player of the Year might not be in his prime anymore at 35, but the man can still cover and brings experience that money can't buy. Over the past few seasons, he's proven that even in the later stages of his career, he can be productive, posting strong pass breakup numbers with both Minnesota and Dallas. The Niners could do a lot worse than adding a veteran like Gilmore, especially if they want to bolster depth for a potential playoff run. He's been through it all: Super Bowls, playoff battles, big-time matchups, and could bring that calm, steady presence to a young defensive back group still finding its rhythm. Now, let's shift to the linebacker position, where a couple of notable veterans are still out there. Eric Kendricks immediately comes to mind. This guy actually came close to signing with San Francisco last year, before ultimately choosing Dallas. He had a productive season with the Cowboys, logging over 100 tackles and proving he still has gas left in the tank. Kendricks has always been known for his intelligence, leadership, and sure tackling. And if an injury were to hit the Niners linebacker core, he'd make a lot of sense as a short-term addition. The team's young linebackers have shown flashes, but depth is never a bad thing when you're aiming for another Super Bowl push. Another name worth mentioning is Jahlani Tavai's old teammate, Ja'Whaun Bentley, who's been a steady and consistent force for New England over the past few years. Even though he dealt with injuries last season, when he's healthy, Bentley is a tackling machine. His physical style and ability to plug gaps in the run game could give the Niners some flexibility if they ever need another interior presence. Josey Jewell also fits that mold. Not flashy, but incredibly solid. He's coming off a productive year in Carolina, where he nearly hit triple-digit tackles and contributed several tackles for loss and sacks. He's dependable, tough, and experienced, which are the kinds of traits that coaches love when building out depth for a playoff-caliber defense. And speaking of defense, cornerback Kendall Fuller might be another name to watch. He's had productive seasons with Washington and Miami, consistently posting impressive pass breakup numbers and showing he can still play at a high level. With Darrell Luter Jr. dealing with an Achilles issue, adding someone like Fuller could be a smart move to stabilize the rotation and prevent any drop-off in coverage. Fuller is the kind of veteran who doesn't make many mistakes, knows how to read offenses, and brings professionalism to the locker room. Qualities that fit right in with San Francisco's culture. Then there's Shaq Barrett, the edge rusher who's made a name for himself over the years as one of the league's hardest-working and most productive pass rushers. From Denver to Tampa Bay, Barrett has been a consistent threat off the edge, even leading the league in sacks a few years back. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion and a two-time Pro Bowler, and while his best years might be behind him, his experience could provide depth behind Nick Bosa and the rest of that talented defensive front. Sometimes all it takes is one or two key veteran signings to push a team from contender to champion, and Barrett's presence alone could make a difference. On the offensive side, there's DJ Chark, a wide receiver who once went over 1,000 yards and made the Pro Bowl back in 2019. Injuries have slowed him down since then, but his size and ability to stretch the field make him intriguing. If the Niners ever find themselves thin at receiver, especially with lingering hamstring issues among some younger players, Chark could be worth a look. He's not the same explosive player he once was, but he still brings veteran savvy and good hands. James Bradberry is another corner whose name has been floating around. Once a second-team All-Pro with Philadelphia, Bradberry had a rough 2023 season while dealing with injuries and a change in role. The Eagles even experimented with him at safety, but that didn't really work out. Still, when he's used properly, Bradberry can hold his own and adds veteran leadership to any locker room. Looking deeper into this free agent pool, there are still a few more players who could realistically find their way to Santa Clara if the right situation opens up. Let's start with the running back position, because even though the 49ers are loaded with talent led by Christian McCaffrey, the depth behind him has been inconsistent this season. Jordan James and Isaac have barely seen the field, and the coaching staff has been cautious with their usage. That's where a guy like Gus Edwards could become interesting. Edwards is one of those old-school, bruising runners who thrives in short yardage situations. Last season with Baltimore, he ran for more than 800 yards and found the end zone 13 times. He's not flashy, but he's efficient, tough, and doesn't go down easily after contact. The Niners probably won't chase another running back unless injuries force their hand, but if they ever want a change-of-pace power back who can grind out tough yards in the red zone, Edwards could be a reliable option. Now, when it comes to players with versatility, Isaiah Simmons always sparks curiosity. Coming out of college, he was one of the most hyped defensive prospects in recent memory, a freak athlete who could play linebacker, safety, and even rush off the edge. But in the NFL, he struggled to find a consistent role. Arizona never figured out how to use him, and after a short stop with the Giants, he's once again searching for a home. For the 49ers, he could be an intriguing project. Under the right system, his blend of size and speed could be a nightmare for opposing offenses. San Francisco has the kind of coaching staff that loves hybrid players, and Simmons could thrive if he's finally allowed to settle into one position rather than being moved around constantly. Another name that deserves mention is Jamal Williams, a running back who's become known for his energy and leadership as much as his production. When he was with the Lions, he led the league in rushing touchdowns and brought a physical tone that set the example for his teammates. He's the kind of personality who could instantly win over the locker room, and his physical, downhill style would fit nicely into the Niners' power running scheme. While the current rotation is strong, Adding a player like Williams could provide veteran insurance if injuries start piling up in the second half of the season. Switching back to the secondary, Von Bell remains one of the more underappreciated safeties still on the market. Known for his hard-hitting style and ability to read plays before they develop, Bell could add a spark to a defensive backfield that has struggled with communication and coverage consistency. He's been around championship-caliber teams before, so he knows what it takes to perform in high-pressure situations. A player like Bell could step in right away and provide leadership to a young safety group that has been learning on the fly all year. Then there's Deontay Johnson, a receiver who's had an up-and-down career defined by flashes of brilliance mixed with inconsistency and some off-field issues. When he was with Pittsburgh under Mike Tomlin, he was productive and reliable. But after that, things unraveled quickly. Multiple teams, short stints, and reports of locker room friction. While the talent is undeniable, the Niners usually prioritize chemistry and discipline, so it's unlikely they'd take that kind of gamble. Still, the fact that a player with that level of ability is out there just shows how deep this free agent market has become. Odell Beckham Jr. is another big name still floating around. Once one of the most electrifying receivers the league had ever seen, OBJ's career has been derailed by injuries. 2 torn ACLs, missed seasons, and constant rehabs have taken their toll, but when healthy, he still flashes that trademark explosiveness. His stint with the Rams proved he can contribute in a winning environment, helping them capture a Super Bowl before going down again. The 49ers could be tempted if they're looking for a veteran presence who can mentor younger receivers and make clutch plays in key moments. It's a long shot, but imagining Beckham catching passes from Brock Purdy in a Kyle Shanahan offense is the kind of dream scenario that gets fans excited. Another wideout worth considering is Nelson Agholor. He may not grab headlines anymore, but he's quietly built a strong resume as a dependable depth receiver and a hard worker. He played a crucial role for Baltimore last year, contributing on third downs and in red zone situations. He also brings playoff experience, having won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia. For a team like San Francisco that values unselfish, detail-oriented players, Agholor will be a seamless fit if they ever need reinforcements at that position. Over on defense, Cam Smith, a former early-round pick, is another player still looking for a new home. His talent has never been in question. Great athleticism, good instincts, and a willingness to tackle. Sometimes players just need a fresh start. And for Smith, joining a disciplined defense like San Francisco's could be exactly what he needs to reignite his career. The same could be said for Louis Cine, a former first-round safety out of Georgia. Drafted by Minnesota with high expectations, Cine struggled to adapt to the NFL speed and later dealt with injuries that slowed his progress. He's still young, though, and a team with strong player development like the Niners might see untapped potential there. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling around Levi's Stadium, and the latest whisper has tongues wagging across the NFL. T. Higgins, the talented wide receiver once of the Cincinnati Bengals, is reportedly being eyed as the new WR1 for the San Francisco 49ers. Insiders suggest that the 49ers front office has been quietly working behind the scenes to secure a true offensive weapon who can stretch the field and become the go-to target for their quarterbacks. Sources close to the team claim that Higgins has all the tools to step into this high-profile role: size, speed, hands, and the kind of route running that can terrorize any secondary. While the 49ers have long had a dynamic receiving core, the idea of Higgins leading the pack adds a tantalizing new layer to their offense. Imagine the chemistry he could develop with a signal caller, particularly in critical red zone situations and clutch third down scenarios. Fans have already begun speculating how this move could alter the balance of power in the NFC, potentially giving the 49ers an edge over rival teams that have struggled to contain explosive receivers. Of course, nothing has been confirmed, and the team has remained tight-lipped. Still, social media has erupted with excitement, memes, and mock jerseys suggesting that Higgins could indeed be the man to lead San Francisco's aerial attack. Analysts point to his consistent performance in Cincinnati, highlighting his ability to make contested catches and gain crucial yardage after the catch, skills that would immediately elevate the 49ers' offensive options. One league insider told our sources, "If this happens, it's a game changer." Higgins isn't just another receiver. He's someone who can carry the offense on big plays. San Francisco fans should start dreaming about deep passes down the sideline. And while it's all still speculative, the rumor mill is hard to ignore. Could T. Higgins really be the new WR1 in San Francisco? The buzz is loud, the stakes are high, and the NFL offseason is shaping up to be more intriguing than ever. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.